real quick, like, you can say Kalanchoe, you can say Kalanchoe. Kalanchoe is botanically correct. If you say Kalanchoe, somebody else will say, oh, I think it's a Kalanchoe. If you say Kalanchoe, somebody can say, no dear, I think it's pronounced Kalanchoe. So I usually switch back and forth in one sentence. This makes everybody happy. This is a true day length. It needs, I think it's 9 weeks, 6 to 9 weeks of dark to come in to set buds. And so we grow them all year. We finish them all year long. Finish about 2,000 every 2 weeks, and then when we're doing the big push on them. When the homeowner gets them, they are a succulent. So they're easy to grow. They can grow inside, they can grow outside, they can grow in the sun, they can grow in the shade. This is your all-purpose replaceable plant. I call it the trip to McDonald's for a hamburger lunch. Just if you have a space, just drop the pots in, pot and all. And when it's finished blooming, which is on a plant like this, is going to take several, 2 or 3 months, then you can take and cut off all the little florets and put it someplace in the garden. It will bloom by itself in late fall, and it will bloom by itself in the spring. Again, 12 hours, you know, the day length, which it gets both spring and fall. So you can just do it and come, or you can throw it away and get another one. At $6.95, it's your easy replaceable plant. So because it's so useful, just sink the pot and they're gone. Toss it, sink down, just drop a few more in. Come in all sorts of hot colors, yellows and pinks and dark purples, and so it is one of the easiest plants to grow any place. But you're not going to make it bloom on schedule every month of the year like we do, unless you want to do the closet thing in the back.
Did you plant it in the sun, shade, semi?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, okay.
It's going to look a little bit better with some shade. So if it's in the hot sun, it's going to look a little stressed, but it'll take it. It is an actual succulent. There's a lot of Kalanchoe in the succulent family. The other thing that I want to cover, because there's a lot of discussion on it, is our mandevillas. We all remember Mandevilla Alistair Pond, the big flowers, climbed up so that the airplane or the helicopters going overhead got to see the flowers, and we got bare stems. Then out of that, this is one of the things that we have grown for years. It is Mandevilla sanderi, even though we call it Diploidenia because it sort of separates it from the other mandevillas. And we have all these colors now because I kept my mouth shut, but this is a story too long to tell. This is one of your best plants for on the coast, inland. Takes the heat, takes the beach. It likes to be in a pot. There is something about that whole Mandevilla family that is more comfortable in a pot or a planter, where it's got those roots a little protected. Now you see them planted in the ground, the landscapers plant them out, but they're always going to be stressed over the winter, and they're not going to bloom in the wintertime like they would in a pot. Keep this in a pot, give it at least half a day sun or more, feed it and water it, and it will bloom every day of the year, non-stop. It's got nice leathery leaves, it's easy to grow. You should get out of a plant like this and you pot it up 7 to 8 years, and maybe more, without any trouble. And it's just a marvelous patio.
Is it in here or no?
I think I got the Mandevilla instructions in there.
I'm not sure.
Which Mandevilla was that?
Well, this is
Sanderi.
Mandevilla. This is Mandevilla Crimson Parasol. So this is the, yeah.
It's sander. I think you want to know sanderi.
This is Sanderi. Yeah. Okay, commonly we call it Mandevilla, but it is a Mandevilla. This is Mandevilla Crimson Parasol. The Japanese started their breeding. I happened to know about it at the time it was going on, and Ushio told me to take some in and see what I could do with my ability at the kitchen table was 0. So this has got some of this blood in there, and some of other Mandevilla bloods in there. And the Suntory company came out with this one that's called Crimson Parasol. Crimson Parasol comes in a basket, the original one. It comes in a climber. Both, I mean, one will not do the other. So you're either buying your climber that we sell them on trellises, or you're buying your basket type. This one, on the other hand, will not bloom generally all year. Doesn't have quite enough of this one's blood in there. It is a great bloomer. Again, we'll take the heat, take the cold, likes to have the sun, good plant by a pool, you know, where you have patio area. Normally, day length influenza will go out of bloom sometime in late December. And then depending on whether you have the climber or the giant or which one you have, come back, this will come back in first, sometime late March. It'll start to bloom again. And then the climber will come back and bloom again about 2 or 3 weeks later. So there's some influence, but they're both good. They do need to be kept watered, but not overwatered in the wintertime. None of the mandavillas like to have cold, wet feet, which is why I think they often don't do as well in the ground. Plant a mandavilla with the roof drips on it, and like my husband used to say, it won't die the first year. So you'll think the others might, because they didn't know what they're talking about. But the next year, I gotcha. So and it'll look kind of crummy coming. This one kind of looks kind of crummy on the climber coming through the winter. But then when you get the heat, the hot weather comes along and you start to water and fertilize it more, it usually comes out beautifully and it's a great bloomer. What else do I need to finish cover
I
here?
think that's it.
How's my time?
Pansies?
Pansies.
Oh, the pansy. It's right in front of me.
Memory's the first thing you go. We plant every year a field of about 13,000 pansies. It started so we could use the tubers begonia field in the wintertime. And people dig their own. This happens to be one of the basketing type because I wasn't going to go out there and dig in my special time. Pansies are your #1 sun, easy to grow winter flower. They don't freeze. You don't have to worry about how cold it's going to get. They like to have sun. They do like to be pinched, so that then they keep on blooming. Give pansies sun, fertilizer, water, and keep picking them. So when you buy a dig your own, the roots are already like this, and the top is like this. And that's why they grow so much faster and bigger than if you just get them foraged. But either way you buy it, pansies are a great winter flower. What I usually tell people, this sat in my car overnight, so it doesn't look as good as it did yesterday. Pick 4 flowers, just the stems, and then the 5th one you pick with leaves attached, so you're keeping your pansy pruned a little bit. Have little pansy vases everywhere in the house. Why go out and deadhead something when you can have the living flowers in your house to enjoy and you're accomplishing the same thing? So the secret, you cannot outpick a pansy. The more you pick it, the more it will bloom, the better it will do. And the pansies should go very nicely all the way in to when it gets hot. When it gets hot, pansies say, geez, didn't count on this, and then begin to go downhill. Usually you take them out and put in something else at that time. But actually, the truth of it is you could cut them back at that time and let them go through like a perennial, and as soon as it gets cold, they'll come back again. But we don't want you to do that. Pansy digging starts every year, November 1st, as tradition, and they are gorgeous. We have a new deer and rabbit spray that definitely, it smells bad for 2 days and then the smell's all gone, but the rabbits can still smell it, and it definitely worked. And so if any of you have deer problems, I need somebody to try it out for deer. So if any of you are having deer, try it out on your roads and see if it works. Yeah.
I have deer.
Okay. I didn't bring it along. Come by the nursery. The thing about this one is that it's supposed to not wash off with rain. So, it's called deer and rabbit something. I don't know what it's called.
Deer will
Yeah, something deer and rabbit repellent or something. It's in a white bottle and it's ready to use, although we use the concentrate. And it's got a picture of a deer and a rabbit. We're probably the only people that have it. So, okay, now this is the deal on buying plants. You don't have to buy anything. I'm happy to bring them all home. Mary's going to figure it out. She's got the tax. We wrote down the tax on most of them. And we just rounded up or down to something fairly reasonable. So we'll both, she got your little change bag in there? Yeah. And she got a little calculator. I'll answer questions. Mary takes money.
Bear with me.
Yeah, she's this younger generation, they just are not quite so sharp. She's a lot better at numbers. So what I always tell people, I can't add or subtract anymore, so I just smile and say, I don't do numbers anymore.
That's what I'm talking,
Okay,
you know.
so It's open
Yeah.
season. Sign up on the email list out there. Take the advertising flyers and talk about Poinsettia Tour. You've been a wonderful audience. Something wonderful. And our